Welcome back, dear viewers. Now it's time for our daily press review. And we start off from اليوم السابع newspaper, and we read the following headline. President Fattah al-Sisi holds talks with his Singaporean counterpart. President Fattah al-Sisi said on Monday that the visit of Singaporean President Tony Tan reflects the depth of relation and cooperation between the two countries. During a press conference with his Singaporean counterpart, President Sisi said the visit marks 50 years of diplomatic relations between the two countries. President Sisi stressed on the need for the continuation of the close cooperation to enhance bilateral trade and investments between the two countries. El-Sisi said that Egypt and Singapore have agreed to activate trade exchange and cooperation in the framework of the investment opportunities in Egypt, especially in the Suez Canal Access Project and in the fields of water desalination, power transportations, ports and education.
And to shed more the current visit by the Singaporean president to Egypt and his meetings with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, we are joined over the phone by Ms. Salma Dahab, political analyst. Good morning, Ms. Salma.
Morning, how are you?
How are you? Ms. Salma, how do you see the significance and the importance of the visit by the Singaporean president to Egypt, the first in almost 20 years?
Yes. Actually, this visit comes to mark 50 years of cooperation between the two countries because, as we all know, that Egypt was the first Arab country to recognize the Singaporean independence. So we have this good relation and strong ties with Singaporean people. And from other side, it's also a reply to our president's visit. The one was done last year in August. And actually, the good relations between us and Singapore, and it's not only on the political and the economic level, we can also say on the cultural and the social level. Because, for instance, Al-Azhar University receives a large number of Muslim Singaporean students, and the Singaporean president is going to attend the graduation ceremony of like 240 students who finished their studies here. And also, what is good or what is really significant about this visit, it's remarked our continuous effort to open new space with countries with similar conditions, that we are trying to get benefit from the development model of countries with similar economic conditions and similar historical backgrounds, in order, to avoid this central treasury problem of dealing with big powers. And as I understand also, and as I was following up, there will be a number of agreements between us and between Singapore, especially in ports management, because Port of Singapore is like one of the most modern ports all over the world, and it has all the facilities. And from our side, we have Suez Canal, so we can benefit from their experience in this. And also an opportunity of investment, because as we see, there are like 16 companies and 16 investors in Singapore following the president and his, accompanying the president in his visit.
Okay, and moving to Al-Akhbar newspaper, and we read that President Sisi holds a phone call with Lebanon's elected president. President Fattah al-Sisi held a phone call on Monday with Lebanon's elected president, Michel Aoun. President Sisi congratulated Aoun with his election, stressing the importance of this step in strengthening stability in Lebanon and emphasizing the concept of the national state with its institutions. And still with Salma Dahab, political analyst. So Salma, to what extent this step of electing a new president in Lebanon will help in strengthening stability in the country?
Lebanon has suffered from 2 years of political vacuum because of the absence of a president, and this left Lebanon in a sectarian danger because you know that Lebanon has different sects there, and they share the political power, and left it also in a legislative crisis because the parliament itself weren't able to come out with a specific law or to vote or agree or make a compromise or anything because of this clash or because of this political conflict. From another side, also, Lebanon suffered from a paralyzed cabinet who were not able to solve any of the issues Lebanon faced. This is really good that now Lebanon has an elected president, one who's agreed upon and who came with a compromise and the approval of the parliament, because Lebanon really needs political stability not only on the domestic level but also on the regional level, because Syria is very close from Lebanon, and what's happening in Syria of course affects Lebanon. For instance, the refugees, we have more than 1 million Syrians in Lebanon. In order to handle all these issues, there must be a political stability. So, and it's something good, like after two failed rounds of choosing the president, they succeeded at the end to reach this compromise and have an elected one. So we hope that in the upcoming days, Lebanon will be able to come back again.
And moving on to Watan, where we read, Prime Minister addresses the House of Representatives. Prime Minister Sharif Ismail said on Monday that Egypt is passing through difficult times, adding that the government alone will not succeed in overcoming the crisis without the support of the people and their representatives in the House of Representatives. And the Prime Minister added in his speech before the House of Representatives that the government has taken a number of measures that will help with the support of the parliament to address the economic crisis. Ismail said that the government has a program for economic reforms which has been introduced in the government program and specified the period the government needs with 2 years, which ends in 2018. The Prime Minister said that industry sector is supported with £6 billion, adding that the central bank will take measures regarding the pound exchange rate. And to shed more light on that topic, also we ask our dear guest over the phone, Ms. Salma Dab. Ms. Salma, how do you see this statement before the Parliament by Prime Minister Engineer Sharif Ismail?
Well, what's really good about this is the idea of addressing people, because usually we have issues of understanding what's happening. All the time we can find like people are talking, analysts are talking, researchers are saying something, but the official statement from the Prime Minister and addressing people, addressing the Parliament, saying that we are having this specific plan and we have achieved this and we are going to this. This is really important and good. The idea of having a dialogue and discussion, this is really good. And also this statement was really important because the Prime Minister, he talked about 4 axes of reform in public finance, in investment, social justice, and reform of industrial sector. He said like these are the main 4 pillars the government tries to achieve progress in, and these would be the core of development. Also, he talked about the foreign currency crisis, and his statement was also good because he said that the government admitted that maybe the late procedures were not very successful. And he said that we need more time to study what would be the next step. This is really good to tell people what's really happening and to tell people, make them aware of the whole situation and be honest with them. And he also spoke about North Sinai, and he shed the light on a very important thing, which is the development and the investment in this area. Because actually developing this area and trying to enter or put more money and funds and investments in would be like the main pillar in solving and ending terrorist problem. Because when you have all these wide space with no development or anything, it gives space and opportunity for terrorists to occupy it and do their attacks. So he talked also about new money going to be invested in North Sinai, and was really something promising.
And still with Al Watan newspaper, and we read armed forces clear roads of Ras Gharib after deadly floods. The Armed Forces Engineering Authority continued on Monday to clear the roads of Ras Gharib after the city was hit by deadly floods. After directives from President Fattah al-Sisi, the Armed Forces distributed 100,000 food supply boxes and sent medical convoys to help 2 stricken residents. The Armed Forces also sent high-voltage electricity equipment to the stricken city. President al-Sisi has ordered a total of £50 million to be allocated as compensation to the victims of the floods nationwide, while another £50 million were allocated for the urgent restoration of infrastructure in areas affected by the floods. So still with the political analyst Ms. Salma Dahab, how do you evaluate the way the government and the armed forces dealt with the crisis in Ras Gharib? It seems there is a technical problem.
It's somehow hard on them to.
Okay, back to you, Ms. Salma. Yes.
You know, we have a big economic loss there, the damages happen and everything. However, we all know that this is happening because of the climate change, but at the same time, it's a good opportunity because the amount of water of these floods were 120 million cubic meters and of fresh water. So there is also an opportunity in case we start thinking of having good sewage network that we could have another source of fresh water. We could use it for irrigation, for agriculture, for drinking, and that would be also good. Most of the developed countries all over the world doing this. They are benefiting from the floods and benefiting from rain, and we could also have this. But of course, the actions of the government, especially and forces, was really good because the situation there in Ras Gharib, as we all were following, were really not good for the people of the city and left them in danger. So entering and trying to send food and supply good, we can say good action on what happened.
Okay, Ms. Salma Dahab, I'd like to thank you for today's participation in the program, and back to the press, Mahisti.
Moving to اليوم السابع, from where we read, Civil Aviation Minister fingerprint biometric devices arrive in mid-November. Minister of Civil Aviation Sharif Fathi said on Monday that the fingerprint biometric devices for Egyptian airports will arrive in mid-November. According to Russian Sputnik news agency, the minister told Russian reporters in Sharm el-Sheikh that some time will be needed to install these devices. Then officials will call the Russians' colleagues and discuss the next steps. Earlier, 4 Russian airlines have asked the Russian Federal Agency for Air Transport to allow the resumption of flights between Egypt and Russia. The Russian news agency TASS reported that the airline requested permission to restart flights between the two countries. The news agency added that a joint committee of Russian ministers headed to the transport ministry is due to discuss the airline request to resume the flights back. Earlier, Civil Aviation Minister Sharif Fathi visited Moscow and met with Russian counterpart Maxim Sokolov to discuss ways to resume the tourism and aviation links between both countries. Sokolov also visited Egypt to hold talks with officials on the resumption of flights between Egypt and Russia.
So, dear viewers, we have a report on this, so stay tuned.
Biometric airport equipment recommended by Russian inspectors to improve Egyptian airport security is due to arrive in Egypt this month. Egypt's Civil Aviation Minister Sharif Fathi said on Monday that we will need some time to install it, and then he said we will contact our Russian colleagues and discuss the next steps. Acting on Russia's recommendations following the latest safety inspections in September, Fathi said Cairo ordered the biometric access systems to track the arrival and departure of airport staff and expected them to be installed within 4 months. According to Sputnik News, the minister added that Egypt is working with experts to install the systems in at least 2 airports without specifying their names. The Civil Aviation Minister's statement comes a few days after Russia's Transport Minister Maxim Sokolov said that a decision over when to resume Russia-Egypt flights may be made before the end of 2016. Sokolov said that if Egypt invites another Russian security inspection by December and the experts have time to prepare a report, the Russian administration will be informed and decide on the resumption of flights.
Still with اليوم السابع newspaper, and we read Minister of Petroleum concludes his visit to Iraq. Minister of Petroleum Mineral Resources Tariq Mullah stressed the importance of cooperation between Egypt and Iraq in the fields of oil and gas. The minister said that his discussions and meetings during his visit to Iraq, which concluded on Monday, was not only limited to the Ministry of Petroleum. He said that he held discussions with the senior officials in Iraq who expressed their unlimited support to cooperate with Egypt in all fields. Al-Mullah said that this is a message from Iraq to boost relations and cooperations in the field of industry, trade, transport, agriculture, energy, and oil. Minister of Petroleum described the results of his visit to Iraq as excellent and opens up broad prospects for cooperation with Iraq in all fields and boost bilateral relations. He added that Egypt is looking forward to similar visits from Iraqi side to Egypt. The minister's visit was full of many important meetings and intensive discussions with Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi, President Fuad House of Representatives Speaker Salim Al-Ghabouri, head of the National Coalition Ammar al-Hakim, as well as Iraqi Oil Minister Jaber al
And moving to Al-Akhbar, where we read, Minister of International Cooperation meets World Bank officials. Minister of International Cooperation Dr. Sahar Nasr held meetings with World Bank officials to discuss a number of issues. In the meetings, Nasr discussed the directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi regarding the expansion of Solidarity and Dignity program. They also discussed the World Bank support to Egypt with $200 million to support labor-intensive projects. The minister emphasized the need for the dedicated support of the projects to benefit workers and increase the technology provided to them, as well as providing job opportunities for workers and young people. The two sides discussed the most important fields in which the government and the World Bank can cooperate, including insurance and micro-enterprises, which helps to achieve inclusive growth that has a significant impact on people's living standards, especially the most needy.
And moving to Al-Wafd newspaper, and we read Egypt stock market finished Monday's trading session in the green zone due to purchases from Egyptian and Arab investors. The benchmark index EGX 30 gained 0.34% to close at 8,368.03 points, while the small and mid-cap index EGX 70 inched up 1.1% to 344.9 points. Likewise, the broader index EGX 100 was higher 1.09% to 812.24 points, and the equal weight index EGX 50 rose 0.89% to 1,319.53 points. Egyptian and Arab investors were net buyers by £33.1 million and £15.3 million respectively, while foreign investors were net sellers by £48.4 million. Individual investors ended as net buyers, while institutions ended as net sellers. Trading value stood at £492.6 million after 166.96 million shares were traded. Market capitalization added £1.7 billion to reach £413.4 billion.
And our dear viewers, with this final item, we come to the end of our press review for today. With the Cultural Magazine, and after that we'll be back to resume the segments of the breakfast show, so stay tuned.